will grow you into the leader you're meant to become. The problem is, let's say you're meant to be a leader. Let me go over into somebody who had a migraine headache, for instance. There's somebody, Patrick Shaw's daughter, actually had migraine headache. So they're going to neurologists, tests, and all these MRIs and these scans, and everything is the problem. Everything except the core, the root. And the root was she was eating a food that contained caffeine that caused migraines. So the solution was very simple. Take away the product, which was, or something that you're putting in your body, which was the caffeine in a nutritional bar, actually, that they bought at like an Earth Fare or Whole Foods. So they thought it was nutritional. They had no idea it was the source was that, and therefore all this pain is in her life, a migraine headache. Well, that is what we're going to be talking about. There may be pain in your life. There may be an outcome in your life. There may be debt riddling your bank account and you're choking your life. There may be lack of progress, lack of production, lack of sales, lack of recruiting. Those kind of things can all be traced back to a core issue, and that core issue is going to be in the way you think. So if you can fix the simple core, the philosophy, the thinking processes at the very beginning, which produce the fruit in your life, the actual thinking produces the action, which produces the fruit. If we can go back to the very beginning and reestablish who you really are and why you're important and why that everything about your life is meant to create something and it is meant to be good, then you can reestablish who you really are and set on a new precedent. But if you don't go to that core, if you don't go back and pull out every root and every weed that is trying to choke the life of your tree, let's say, and that's why I have a tree here, and you can see, let me go, all right, so there's actually, this is a vision, this water is moving, but unless I have the full screen, you can't see that. But you want to be a river of living water. Things are going to come out of you. So let's go to Myles as he shares something about what we're going to talk about in the next couple weeks.
True leaders, Dr. Munroe, Papa Myles said, live on in people. This is why Jesus, the greatest leader of all time, invested 3.5 years in training programs for a hand-picked group of people at the Global Leadership Forum. He did that, but I did. So, and he had this idea of living forever through them. Jesus Christ mentored. He understood that mentoring is the greatest and higher responsibility of leadership. Most leaderships fail to mentor, but we will not.
Okay, and he wrote a book that we're going to talk about today called Passing It On. And I thought this was appropriate considering the fact that we have two great leaders that have just passed on. And passing it on means that the measure of success can be seen in the success of the successor. In other words, what you do is good, but when you do something that you teach others to do and they do it without you, that is greatness. Okay, passing it on means that true leadership is not measured by a person's achievements, goals, programs, or projects, but by the quality, character, competence, and passion of the people around them who can pass on the vision. And yes, the people on this phone, we can pass on Harlan Stonecipher's vision. We can pass on the idea that we are training and developing. That's the whole mission statement of ShieldNation, to coach and develop leaders. And so when we have something good, if you're not teaching it to others, if they're not becoming better than you, you're really not passing it on. And that's what today's all about. But I want to kind of take you forward into some videos or some webinars we're going to see and kind of encapsulate what's going to happen so I intrigue you and inspire you to stay with us for the entire series. Here's a story of someone, the reality of a lot of people on this line. You have been masked up. Inside of you is a potential that is so great, but maybe you had a parent or a coach or a sister or a stepfather or something, a job, an experience, and your idea of yourself is all masked up. Here's a story of a king. He literally was a twin brother. He had a twin brother at birth, and the twin brother, when they got older, realized that the way the kingship works is that if you were the firstborn, of which this individual right here was the firstborn, you would be king. So when he was in his teen years, he realized he wasn't going to be king, so he locked his brother up when he was young in this mask. So this individual has just been found. He's been in a mask, and here's a little picture of that clip. Oh, geez. Well, that didn't work. Okay, let me see if this other one works. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what happens. He's in a mask. He's been in a like cave area for years and years and years. He has no idea who he really is. He does not know he is a king. So they find him. They take off the mask, of which his hair is growing out. It's grotesque looking. He eats through the hole in his mask. And they take the mask off and reveal that he's not who he really thinks he is. Okay, underneath the mask is a king. But the king doesn't know how to eat right, doesn't know how to walk right, doesn't know how to talk right, because he's been masked up. He's been locked away. He's been put somewhere where no one has really told him who he really is. So these individuals that capture him or release him, they have to train him. He literally, like, slops out of a bowl with his hands. He's just absolutely not looking like a king at all. So they raise up what is inside of him. What is truly inside of him is a king, the nature of a king, but his brother, locking him away, has stolen his true identity. And so what we're going to do is unmask you, show you who you really are, and let you walk like this. And this is after training. This is after you learn who you really are. Behind the mask that you have worn, behind the mask that people have put on you, is a true king, is a true leader. And so here he is after his training, walking down and taking his rightful place. And so this is what, and he's a little uncomfortable here in this scene because he's not really used to walking in the level of excellence and power that he was born to walk in. So he's taking his rightful place right here. And that is what the webinars are going to be about. So you are going to learn that for you to pass it on, you first need to know who you are. So let's go through what is a leader. A leader's focus is most people consider leaders focus mainly on themselves. That's what a leader is supposed to do, their own achievements, their successes. Leaders, but they focus on what they want to do. These are not true leaders, by the way. People that focus on what they want to do, what they want to be known for, what they want to build as a legacy, that's not what we're talking about. And most people, these people that think they're leaders build their legacy in their work and not in people. We need to shift that in this business and in life. Your greatest legacy is not a product or an institution that you left behind, but rather a person or people, which is you are in the position that you can make a difference, that you can go out and build a team and transfer what your belief is in our product and what we can do for people, and that is leadership. This approach is different than anything else that is taught in succession or leadership. All right, an average person does not understand the power of mentorship. All right, so that's what we're talking about too, how to mentor. When you think of building your team, you do not want to build people that can't do what you do. An average leader today has no interest in mentoring. They really don't think, they just think, let me recruit, but not mentor, not coach and develop. He or she is preoccupied with defending a position or protecting their own turf. These are insecure, false leaders with titles. So just because somebody is an executive director doesn't mean they're a leader. Just because somebody is a platinum does not mean they're a leader. So how do you break that spirit if they don't understand the real purpose of leadership is to develop others? You teach them about mentoring. destroy the spirit of entitlement, that spirit of this is my space, I need to own this market, it's all about me, will be broken if they study and they embrace mentorship. So what is mentoring? Encouraging another to excel in their area of gifting. We go by tell me, show me, let me, grow me. So tell me, what are you doing in the tell me part? Inspiring people to want to do something of value. You're telling them about our product, telling them how they can go out to and share our product. Then you show them. Set the example of what success and hard work with excellence looks like. So if you want to mentor others, yet you don't have the principles in your own life, that's not going to work. The show me part is your life. It's your lifestyle. It's who you really are. That's what you're showing them, not the how-to. Hey, do this, fill out this form, and fill out this form, and do your wealth building tracking, and just do, and how. That is a part of the equation, but if your life and passion isn't oozing through in the show me part, if your excellence and your organizational skills and your people skills has not been, you haven't grown those, so when someone is watching you and you're showing them how to do it, you're sloppy, you're cutting corners, you're not treating people with honor. We just had somebody who went to a company, for instance. It was a huge company. He's making $100,000 a month in his company, and he had a big conference, didn't honor some of the people in this company. And he's just so prideful, so arrogant that he thinks his company was all about him, and he's the it factor. Well, anyways, one of the major factors in this success story was in the audience, and he never got honored. Okay, so what happened after the assistant that runs our properties was at this conference, and this person who is not honored because this leader has lack of leadership, even though he's making $100,000 a month, he quit and left and just said, I'm walking away. I no longer want to be a part of this person who thinks they are a leader, but they don't have mentorship. They don't honor the team. And so there's an example of a bad show me, all right? Challenge me to do it by myself, so I develop the needed skills. It's like the butterfly, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. If you do everything for everybody on your team, you're literally robbing them of their development. You're robbing them of their future confidence, and you're robbing them of their ownership of part of the vision. So you have to let them. This is not about doing everything for everybody on the team so you can go to director and you can go to executive director. You're thinking in your mind, how can I mentor? How can I teach them what I know to do that's working for me so they can do it without me? That's what you should be thinking. That's what mentoring is. Grow me, refine me so I can fulfill my purpose so well I'm equipped to pass it on without you. All right, so that would be the grow me. That would be in your mind, you're thinking to grow that person so well they don't need you. Mentorship is developing a seed into a forest. So here's our seed, here's our associate that we grow, their skill sets are growing, their skill sets are growing more, and pretty soon they're so fruitful, their fruit is falling on the ground with more seeds, with more trees, with more fruit, with more seeds, with more trees. And so it goes on and on and on until it's a forest. And so that's really what it's all about. To lead, you must influence. To lead people anywhere, you have to influence them. Your influence inspires the mentee, the person, the associate, to carry out your vision. No one will buy into your vision if you did not have passion. So in order to have the influence, you have to have passion. And your passion grows out of conviction. So you can't fake passion. You really got to believe what you're doing. What Legal Shield offers is something so sound, so phenomenal, that you're convicted that everyone needs to hear about it. Everyone needs to hear the story. You want to go out and see the people tell the story because you're convicted that if you don't share with the people you care about, then you're doing them a disservice. That's where the passion comes from the conviction of equal justice for all. That conviction grows out of finding your purpose. The mentee, the associate, finds purpose in your passion for the vision, and he catches that. And so that's what influences. Now, the secret to leadership is not the pursuit of power, but the pursuit of self. That's what we're going to talk about. What's behind the mask? What's the truth? You show your mentee that you discover that when you discover what you were born to do, your leadership is born. Thus, leadership has very little to do with people. It's about self discovery. Everything I do with the team is asking questions so they discover their greatness. If you patch the hole, if you give them the answer and you don't let them discover it, you've actually robbed them again. So if you can help them find their passion and they pursue it, then the people will find them. So, for instance, Brielle has created a passion and learned how much it's in her to want to help people with this service. Literally, her passion is her secret. Her passion and her excellence in the way she goes about it has created great influence in the marketplace. Literally, people are coming to her. They want to be working with her. Brokers, insurance agency owners, agencies, reps, recruits. Literally, it's the opposite direction. And that's what the secret to leadership is when it comes in you, it literally attracts people to you. So it's not taught, it's mentored. You can teach people the principle for discovering themselves, and when they find their purpose, the leader is born. And I remember the day that she found her purpose. She realized she understood she doesn't control their yes or no, but she controls her passion, her purpose, that she needs to educate everyone she meets. And if they think they know what Legal Shield is, if they've had a bad experience, then she needs to educate that it's not the product or the company. Maybe that person didn't have integrity. Maybe that past associate didn't take care of that account, but that's not her. And she is on a mission and a purpose to reveal the truth about this great service, the truth about this great company from someone that's going to say it in a way that has passion and purpose in her presentation. And it's working phenomenal for her. All right, so what is purpose? Purpose is having a sense of destiny. Your purpose then fuels your conviction. Your conviction is a sense of significance. In other words, a leader is someone who discovered that he or she is important. If you do not share the message, no one will hear it. How can they be protected lest they hear somebody share the message? So you realize, oh my gosh, the sense of significance you have. Your mentoring must endow your mentee with a sense of purpose. You must help your mentees, your associates, see they are that important. In working with Steve Hales, it's been just such a pleasure because he was in a factory. He's there in a factory just doing the same thing, and then he started to work with us and find out what he does in life matters. He matters. And it's like his whole revelation is coming to him that he literally was born to succeed. He was born to serve. He was born to lead. And those things are starting to come to an understanding. And it's kind of weird, kind of different. It's not been a place he's taken. He's sitting on that throne now. He's walking down that aisle as that king, not comfortable quite in his new skin and his new found understanding of himself, but as he now speaks to the first insurance agency, I can remember, Steve, you calling me and saying, oh my gosh, I just went to a luncheon and it was all vice presidents of companies and all these people. I've never talked to people like that. I've never been in an atmosphere of people like that. I was like overjoyed and just, I said, someday you'll be used to that. That'll be who you are. Right now you're like, what is this? What's happening here? How am I sharing a message that they are intrigued about hearing? And he realized he had something to do, something to share, something people wanted to know about. And it's changed his life. So the sooner they accept that, the sooner they develop vision. And that's exactly what happened to Steve Hales. They begin to see how to fulfill their purpose. Vision is a concept of the future. And when the vision comes, passion comes. So he started to see, I can help companies. I can work with insurance agencies. I can make a difference at this level. I don't have to be stuck in a factory. And that vision started to come to him, and that is starting to change his life. So creating passion, followers are attracted to the leader's passion. If you say you're a leader but no one is following you, you're simply taking a walk. Your mentee, your associate, must see from your example that following you is a privilege that people do not have to give you. So just because you are a certain position and you doesn't mean people have to follow you. It's the way you teach, the way you care, the way you want to transfer that leadership. So to keep people submitted to your passion, never let them see your passion waning. Keep your passion. Share it with your mentee, your associates, your team. You can become tired, but you must maintain and renew your passion. So the goal is to produce one greater than you. Literally, that's the purpose right there in that statement. You're not trying to produce a person who's like you. You're mentoring to develop someone better than you. A true leader is always training a replacement, and the goal is to make that person better than the mentor is. Now, Brielle got on stage in front of 6,000 people with John, and she said, well, I hope I make more than my mom and dad. You know, I want to be, do better things. And I'm like, absolutely. She said that because we've always told her that is our goal. Our goal isn't to raise kids to be like us. Our goal is to raise kids, raise leaders, raise executive directors that far surpass John and Darcy Hoffman. Take what we have, take everything that's great about us, add it to what's great about you, and go on and soar into even better heights of changing this world. So the challenge, here's the challenge for leaders. The greatest challenge, leadership challenge, is establishing the priority of self-replacement. That's a scary thing for a lot of people. They're locked up and they think power is in having people need them. Leaders do not clone themselves in their own image. I don't want you to become a John Hoffman or a Darcy Hoffman. They help others discover themselves, deploy their own abilities, reach the height of their own capacities, and refine their unique personalities. This last statement is absolutely key. Mentoring is not about making a person you. Making someone talk like you, act like you, or dress like in a suit like you, that is not leadership. That is personality worship. And I want you to think about some people that think that is leadership. So they go about and somebody wants to dress, act, talk, look like that individual on the earth. And that's not leadership. You're not wanting to become someone else. You're too unique for that. You're too separated. And you were created to be you, not to be me or someone else. So our job as leaders is to pull out your leadership, pull out your essence, and to help the world see it so that you can be an example. Now, the greatest example we have of that, the greatest leader of all time, taught us so much by his attitude. He would say, and this is Jesus talking, if I do not leave you, you will not be able to do greater works. But if I leave you, knowing how well I trained you, then you will do greater works than I have done. In other words, a successor should achieve more. My children, our children, should achieve more than us. That is our goal. John 14:12, I tell you the truth. Anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing. He will do even greater things than these because I go to the Father. And this is what Jesus said right before he went to the cross. He said this to his disciples who he had trained and picked. And he was saying to them, don't worry, I'm going to leave. But you're going to do greater things. And it's important that I leave, actually. It's important that you all leave your team and separate from them so that they can grow and become the forest that's in them. All right, so Jesus knew he had to leave in order to grow those disciples, and they would go to all four corners of the earth. Succession is the greatest measure of true leadership. So did they succeed him when he left? Did it continue? Yes, it did. That was 2,000 years ago, and it has continued. Most leaders define success and leadership as what they achieve. So what did Jesus achieve when he was on earth isn't as important as what has been achieved after he left. So if everything dies with them, they are failures. And obviously he was not a failure. Oops. All right, so here's the question. We're going to turn it over to you, John. The challenge of true leadership success is to ask, what will die with you? In other words, what have you not taught other people to do even if you're not there? So what will die with you? You don't want anything to die with you. All right, so that's the challenge. You want to ask yourself, if I don't do something about training up leaders better than what I'm doing today, this incredible vision, this incredible purpose might die with me. And nothing died with Harlan Stonecipher, nothing died with Myles Munroe. They're true leaders. So they have a legacy to follow them. We are going to carry that torch for Harlan Stonecipher, and we're going to develop leaders and continue to develop leaders that are better than ourselves for Myles Munroe. And those are the two passions that they had. So the goal of leadership should be to answer confidently the question, what will live after I die? And so let's open that up and talk about how this translates. Again, no one's on the Facebook. There's not one comment. So if you have a question, this is where you put it. Put it on the Facebook page here. We'll all be able to see your question or your comment. And John, I turn it over to you for some interaction.
I tell you what, man, I've just got so many amazing emotions just stirred up. If you go back to 11, let me make a couple of quick comments. just to celebrate Harlan Stonecipher's life, what an amazing ceremony yesterday. And, you know, Harlan instilled his vision into a lot of us, and that's what Darcy talks about by carrying the torch. And part of that vision, you know, for all of us was, if we think about liberties and justice for all, we realize that only with Legal Shield is justice for all a possibility. So to right an injustice is something that we're all, I believe, very passionate about. And, you know, Ken Moore was one of the people who spoke yesterday, a good friend of Harlan. And, you know, at one point, you know, you take a look at the quote that we posted on Facebook. Please read it. Please print that out for yourself, because it sat across from Harlan's desk, and it was a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. And that quote should be paramount, really, in every one of our lives. If it doesn't fit you, then don't take, you know, my advice, or just throw out my words per se. You know, but we want to know and taste defeat and success. We don't want to be a spectator. None of us want to be a spectator, and that's going to speak to what Myles is about in just a second. But, you know, Ken went to Harlan probably 30, 35 years ago and says, Harlan, hey, look, you're $25 million in the red. Why don't you just sell the company? And Harlan looked at him and said, to the few people who invested with me, I told them, his lips were quivering, and he was so mad at Ken for suggesting that, being $25 million in the red. And he says to Ken, he says, look, the few people that invested with me, I told them we would either go to the top together and make this a success, or we would just, you know, basically, you know, not have a company. He goes, I'm not selling, you know. And that just spoke to kind of the passion. And Harlan, you know, was a man of his word. You know, vision is a concept of the future. Darcy mentioned that. Vision is a concept of the future. With Myles Munroe, so that tribute we pay to Harlan, we celebrate his life. We celebrate Myles's life. I was sold out when Myles changed my life almost 20 years ago, when I heard about the hidden glory, when I heard about how I could be restored to my true self and what was in me. I wanted to just share a couple of things in my notes. They go back to 96, 98, 2001, 2004. But Myles said the greatest tragedy in life is not death. It's life. Many people are like an oak seed, but they never become a tree, and Darcy talked about that. You know, human being not what they were created to be is what upsets God more than anything. And, you know, that's why on webinars like this, every one of us should be the kind of leaders that we're working to influence. We're working with our passion to drive more of our team members to this. Why? Because of the leadership principle, we're wanting to invest in them. When I say we, that's you and I. This webinar isn't just for you and I. This type of ideology, this type of thinking, this type of mentoring is so that we can take this energy and invest it into so many others. The greatest enemy of man is not sin, is not Satan, it's ignorance. You know, what we don't know can kill us. You know, there was a question that Myles asked one time when we were with him. He goes, who are you? You know, the Word of God says we have a treasure trapped in this earthen vessel. Every one of you, every one of us, when I say that, I mean myself too, there is a treasure trapped in this earthen vessel inside of me, you know, and that's why to ignore a human is to be a fool. You know, that's why Darcy and I, our family, and a lot of you, we don't ignore, we don't look past anybody. We get so excited about introducing people to their original self because you get to start unwrapping that treasure. Don't judge people by their present state. You know, they're about to be unwrapped. You know, teenager, who are you? I'm not going to give up on them because they're leaders. I don't give up on the youth. I don't give up on teenagers. I know you don't either. You know, most people don't know how to live before they die, so they simply die. You know, these are all just, you know, notes and just, you know, comments by Harlan. I have so many more, but our time is limited today. And so, you know, hopefully like you, you know, celebrate the legacy that these two individuals have left to you and I. Be able to carry that torch of equal justice being a reality. Why? Because of Legal Shield. It no longer is exclusive. It's inclusive. That's who you and I are. We're inclusive by giving people access to the justice system. With Myles Munroe, same thing. You know, carry his torch, carry the passion forward by helping to instill that leadership spirit, helping to instill the hidden glory in restoring people to self. Okay. So right over there on the ShieldNation website are a whole host of things. I can't see these. But anyhow,
well, John, Bob has a question, and the question is, what do you do when an associate who is not coachable as we would like? And the question is, the answer is to that, to look for those that are hungry and thirsty. And I don't know if you like that answer, but all you can do is, when I have someone on the team that I actually, it's so sad, I have to say, because I know their potential, but their coachability is not there. I have to move on, and what you do with a person is you include them in your conference calls, you include them in your meetings if you're having one, you have the webinar, you always put out the invitation. But whether or not they duplicate it or are humble enough to be coachable is not your power. You don't have, it's like where you end and they begin is at that decision for them to be coachable. So I move on, and so did Jesus, and he's my example. And so he would go and look for those that were thirsty or hungry for what he had, and the ones that were arrogant, maybe even ignorantly arrogant, and they don't even understand that they're not coachable. You can have a straight face-to-face coaching moment also. There's many with Brielle, you and I, we've had these coaching moments where you say, I am on your side. This is another thing, Bob, for you. I am on your side. I want the best for you. Do you want the best for you? Are you where you want to be right now? And there needs to be a aha, oh, am I not making the money that you're making, Mr. Cohen? Why am I not coaching, allowing you to coach me? Why am I not learning the systems you've learned and the skill sets you've learned because you have greater success than me? So until I'm making more money than you, Bob, if you're my coach, I really need to be coachable. And everyone on this phone, until you're making more money than the person coaching you, you really need to stay coachable. And be very careful who you're being coached by. That's another thing. Brielle or Bob, I see your comments on Facebook. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that? Or Steve?
No, that's really helpful.
Bob, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Bob. Yeah, no, thank you, Darcy, for addressing that. It's a fascinating business. It truly, truly is. You know, especially working with people, and you know, it's amazing because you know we've got the best, really the best business out there, and that people don't know what they don't know, and it's just really, I don't want to say frustrating, but it can be very fascinating. And I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this know exactly what I'm saying. When you're working with people, you know, John, you've always talked about that people are not saying N-O, it's K-N-O-W. They don't know what they don't know, especially the value of this service. And that's the most fascinating, frustrating part, is at least, you know, take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes, see what this is about, and then make an educated decision. So that's the one side that I'm kind of getting at. And then, again, it's working with the associates that are not as coachable as we would like. It's mind-blowing. So thank you for that comment. For years, I had a statement on my desk. I think I need to put it back on here, work with the willing. And that's exactly what you're kind of alluding to. So that way it won't be so frustrated. Thanks.
Well, Bob, let me also say this to you, and I appreciate your and certainly your leadership. If people are hell-bent on going a different way, I kind of leave them to their vices. But in the process, I'll ask questions. In the process, I will let them know that when they are ready to come back, that my arms are open. And, you know, Bob, I remember a number of years ago, you and Jerry were some of the team into an individual that I knew a little bit more about than you did. Now, this individual looked good from the front of the room, and some of the stuff they did from the front of the room was pretty doggone appealing. And my conversations with you and Jerry were stay away, stay away, stay away. And in the beginning, you know, you guys kind of fought it for a little bit, and so I backed off. But because of the leadership and because of our conversations and because of, you know, the trust we had developed with each other over the years, you finally started to see it yourself, and then bingo, you guys pulled away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, great question. Scott Landsberg put a great question out there that technology is great, but we lose the personal interaction. Scott, I couldn't agree with you more. And there's a lot of emails that I'll have that go to the corporate office. Start the email that says, too much is left unsaid in this communications. Here are a few points I'd like to make, but we need to have a phone call. I agree that we need to go back to, especially the younger generation, is happening here when people communicate, whether they're looking eye to eye or on a phone. We can hear the intonation, we can hear the passion, we can hear the attitude, we can hear the excitement from conversation. And so I couldn't agree more. And hopefully in the future, the country will start turning back to what communication is. Darcy, I think your phone is... get back to the basics of eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly. Get back to the basics of communicating the way we were intended to communicate, and that isn't through texts and emails. Not that those things aren't okay, not that those things don't have a purpose, but the true essence of communicating is things like this.
Can we hear from Brielle or Steve? Are you out there?
Let's go out to Brielle. Her hand is up. Brielle, go ahead. Brielle?
Or Steve? Steve Hales, are you out there?
Steve Hales has his hand up. Go ahead, Steve.
I'm here. Yeah, thanks so much, Darcy. What I keep thinking about as you were going through today's webinar about leaders, teaching leaders, is how many times do great leaders, how many times did Jesus go back to the apostles and go back to the tell me, show me portion of your training method, your training model? You know, how many times in developing a great leader do you have to go back? I know with me personally, how many times do you have to go back and tell me and show me exactly what to be doing to make me a great leader? I just wanted to leave that comment.
Well,
you know,
it's a good comment.
I have to say, though, in response to Bob, Steve, the only reason we're working with you the way that we work with you is because you're coachable. So you have earned the right to be attached on a very personal daily level. So Brielle Hoffman was another one. She was like literally on a daily basis coming back and improving one little icon, you know, 1 little percent at a time. So over a period of 3 months, or 6 months, she became like outstanding. And it was just little changes in philosophies and understanding about a no, what did a no mean, and how do you overcome that, and all these little victories, these tiny little victories, that in these increasing of skill sets on a daily micro level. And those things, because she was teachable, she was able to become who she is. And Steve, your success, Steve is a new director, everyone, this month. So he's a new director on ShieldNation. And so here's a factory worker that goes director in a year because of his teachability. And Cheryl, you're saying keep the peps. What's the peps in the loop, Cheryl? Explain your comment.
Darcy, we got to wrap up. We have a 10:15 webinar.
Cheryl, can you make one final comment and then we'll close up?
Cheryl on the phone?
She said send an email each month. Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead. Great.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Good morning. Yes, after I typed that, then you were talking about technology. But what I find is once a month I have an email, a distribution list of all my associates. So once a month I send out an email, just kind of some updates, what's happening. You know, maybe there's like with identity theft standard, for example, you know, it's not Experian anymore. It's TransUnion. So, you know, things that we learn during the month, send an email. And, you know, people will pop up. Peeps are people. I'm sorry. So, you know, it's good to keep them. Last month I had somebody that hadn't done any production for over a year, wrote a couple memberships. So I think it's just important just to kind of keep them in the loop, and then when they're ready, they have the information, they know who to talk to, it just keeps them in the loop, because sometimes you don't really know where they are, and, you know, making a phone call to people, you can do that. However, if they haven't done anything in a year, you're kind of thinking, well, we don't really know what's happening. So anyways, I just think that that's a good way to kind of keep in touch with everybody. And also, Alan Fernley's going to be in Colorado tonight and tomorrow. So if any of you have any potential recruits, please let me know, and I'd be happy to host them for you here in Denver Bronco Country Land. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. And Darcy and I and Brielle will be in St. Louis next weekend. Please check travel schedules. And let me leave you with this. Our mentor taught us, in respect to Cheryl's comments, 23 years ago, number one, always give people reasons to do the business. You know, if they haven't done anything in a year or 2 years, you know, give them reasons to do the business. Number two, support them. And number three, always point them to the system. So give them reasons, support them, whether it's just celebrating small wins, a three-way call, or just encouragement, to point them toward a system. So got to jump on another webinar at this point, so we're going to be hanging up. Let's finish strong. We are having just a great year, moving us into 2015, and so we just welcome everybody. If you get a chance, if you want the best leadership books on purpose, vision, and leadership, Myles Munroe. And again, just a tremendous tribute to our founder, Harlan Stone Cipher, and a big thanks to him and Shirley. Be blessed, guys. We'll talk to you soon.